Creative Magic Club. What's up? This is Sarah Mack and welcome to Creative Magic Club. Together, we'll discover inspirational stories of creative entrepreneurs living out their dreams, doing the work they are most passionate about, and building wealth in magical and fun ways. While building a six-figure income as a writer and coach, helping other women to launch their dream businesses, I've connected with so many incredible people and seen it proven again and again that you can thrive financially doing whatever it is you are passionate about. I'm here to share life-changing strategies for mindset, making money, and reaching more people with your work in a business and life filled with creativity, freedom, and fun. Hi everyone, welcome. I'm so excited to introduce my special guest today. We have with us Karen Dubi, who is the Wealthy Healer. She helps changemakers and female entrepreneurs in service-based industries to drop the lack and find abundance and wealth in all areas of business and life. Hi Karen, how's it going?
Hello. It's going great. I'm so excited to be here.
So Karen is another of my recent internet besties, and we get to hang out a lot, and she's really freaking awesome. So I'm so excited to dive into conversations around everything wealth today. So before we dive in, Karen, what's your story? How did you end up doing this work?
Ooh, it's a long story, but I'll give you the abridged version. So I've been in the service-based business for many years, almost 30, and it started off as like a health and wellness practitioner and coach. And that evolved into something more spiritual. And I dove deep into meditation and yoga and breath work. And I was facilitating that kind of work. So it's always really been in helping people to heal. And the way that they used to claim it is that it's healing from suffering, like whatever suffering. Some people have more profound suffering and some have just very benign suffering, but we all experience different kind of levels of that. And the whole transmission is to elevate from those stuck points, whatever that is. And I've noticed that while I was diving more deeply into self-development and personal development world, and becoming a life coach and business mentor, a lot of people had a story around money, and those money blocks were preventing them from showing up as big or as massively as they wanted, holding them back from the impact that they want to create in this world. And my money story is a little bit different than I think a lot of people's money story. There's always like the rags to riches story, or I went from nothing to something, or the most devastating, awful low to all of a sudden, this abundant world. And I didn't have the relatability because I always really came from having money, but I never made money. And so my value was not in self-worth of having money. I never made it. I just had it. And there's a big difference. So some people don't know how to make the money, and that's their money block. Some people are afraid to make money because success is scary to them. Some people have a story around not being able to hold the money or to maintain the money or to be able to replicate the money situations. And some people just don't feel that they're worthy of creating the money. And so when I was teaching like yoga classes, it was really, you get paid per hour. You teach a class, you get paid for the hour. And so the money I was bringing in was not a lot. And so I never really felt like the breadwinner or the person who could sustain a high financial income. And that held me back because I just didn't think I was able to. I didn't think I was worthy of. And then my kids started getting a little bit older, and they were like always going to my husband for financial advice or like entrepreneurial advice. And I was like, hey, and so I realized like I need to create a shift in my own story. And that was my money block story, is that I didn't think that I had the ability or the capability of being able to be financially independent.
Okay, I love this. I love hearing people's money stories and hearing different perspectives. And this is definitely a less common perspective, like in my world and in my community, especially for like yoga teachers, even though, it makes sense that like someone who would be teaching yoga regularly would like have other financial backing, because yeah, it is one of those professions that's just like notoriously underpaid, like so many professions that like, women, creators, people who are, into the alternative arts and therapies, just because that's how it's been allocated as valuable in our culture. And yeah, and it's so important to talk about and to see it from that different perspective of like it doesn't matter if you have money, like you should be compensated appropriately for your gifts and skills and talents and contributions um in every profession. And yeah, and I know that's what you're all about, and that's the conversation that you're bringing, and I think it's so important. And I think this is, you know, a lot of women will be able to identify with this, especially, you know, when you have a partner who, you know, most obviously we know the stats, like men generally earn more money than women. And so it can become easy to just like lean on that and, you know, be provided for. But that doesn't help with what we're moving towards, which is establishing more like women dominated professions and making sure that they have value in the market. So I would love to hear like, yeah, what are your kind of like top frustrations that you see with like women under earning in healing and like caregiving professions?
It's a great question. I could tell you from an experience that I had. There were several of these experiences that weighed heavily on me at the time. One was when I was teaching classes and I was requesting a certain pay structure. I was told on various occasions, well, you already have money, so this shouldn't be about money for you. And essentially wanting me to do it like on a pro bono basis. And the thing is that if I want to do something pro bono, I can and would, but that's my prerogative, that's my choice. And if I'm not choosing that, if I'm doing this on a regular basis, then I have the right and I have the power and I have the deep desire to be paid for my services. I have done so much training in my life. You know, there's a like an anecdote story of, I think it was like Picasso was in a coffee shop and some woman said, "Oh my gosh, I love your work. Can you doodle me something?" And he doodled her something in 5 minutes, and he was like, "That would be $10,000 or some price point." And she was like, "But that took you less than 5 minutes." And he says, "No, ma'am, this took me my whole life to learn how to do this in 5 minutes." And so that's what I learned when I was a newbie in the industry. I was like, I'll take anything. You pay me whatever you can pay me. I'm happy. But then when I became much more of the expert and the polished or the more masterful kind of teacher, you know what? I think that that has some credence, and I wanted to be compensated accordingly. I took the time to invest literally years and money in my own growth and in my ability to teach and share. And that should be compensated appropriately. So just because I have money, it doesn't mean I need to do pro bono work. I should still be paid for what my service is and how I feel energetically I am entitled or ought to be getting paid.
Yeah, this is such an important conversation, and it makes me think of like, okay, obviously this is like a big issue for like artists and creatives. And I remember I saw a post recently that the dancers at the Super Bowl, I can't remember which performance it was. I think it was whoever was before Rihanna, maybe that it was
The
I
year
can't remember.
before?
Yeah, anyway, they weren't paid for the Super Bowl, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like this is like the biggest production budget in the history of all freaking time, and
Right.
it's so often sold as like an opportunity. And you know, especially dancers, right? Like that's notoriously been a profession that hasn't been respected, hasn't been well paid. And is it a coincidence that it's a profession that's done by very young women? Like, no, you know, it's like they're very young dancers. You peak in your career when you're like in your late 20s, very often. I know that's changing now, but and the only way that's going to change is if people within the industry start refusing to work for less. And I think,
Claiming is
yeah,
really what it is just claiming what you feel your worth is. I never like to judge people's price points. Like it could be outrageous. I actually saw someone on TikTok recently that did this most magnificent haircut. And I was like looking to get a really magnificent haircut. So I reached out and he gave me his menu page of services. And it was like a $550 haircut. I was like, whoa. But good for you. Good for you to be able to charge that. And if you're able to charge those fees and get it, then all the power to you. It turns out he's not even nearby me, but everyone should have their price point. It's up to us as a consumer. Like, can I pay it or can I not pay it? Am I willing to or am I not willing to? That's the deciding factor, not whether they're worth it or not, but whether I can make that happen for my own self as a consumer. That's the only relative like question.
Yeah. And I think it was a great point that you brought up about the lifetime value. And I think that's a really important shift in the conversation away from this kind of like industrial age, like factory worker, dollar per hour, amount on your head and on your time. And yeah, like you say, everything that you're bringing to any type of work that you do, it's not only is it a lifetime worth of experience, but it's also, a lifetime worth of value that that person is going to get from that exchange. And I think that's just a really important shift for anyone who has been experiencing being like undercharging or being underpaid or feeling kind of awkward about raising prices. And I think as women, we do get really triggered. And I've seen people have conversations around it when people charge like a very, very high price. And I think that's something to look into and something to feel into and to really ask ourselves, like, okay, why is this really triggering me that this person should be paid so much money? Usually there's some pain in there around not receiving your worth and not receiving what it is that you desire. And and just recognizing that, on the flip side of it, as entrepreneurs, we get to choose who we take on as clients. We get to choose where we invest our time, where we invest our energy and our resources. And so if the lifestyle that we desire is, or the way that we work that benefits us the most and allows us to do our best work, means we only have a certain number of hours, means we are limited in how many people we can serve depending on our business model. And, so if there is any one-to-one work, especially, or where it is involving your time in a service and delivering to clients, that it is limited. And yeah, like you literally do get to name your price. You get to decide how much money you make. And obviously, bringing the appropriate level of value and knowing where you are and your level of experience and ability to help clients in what you do. But every single industry has a very, very diverse range of pay grades, of experience, of client types, and we really get to pick. And I think the more people pick what feels in alignment for them, because there's an unlimited way to do business, I feel like the more we're all just going to like reorganize and everybody gets to be abundant.
You're saying so many things that I'm just like, yes, 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 yes. Because first of all, yes, we totally get to choose. And literally right before I hopped onto this with you, I got in my inbox a request to have a 30-minute coaching session, which I don't usually do 30 minutes. If it's an offshoot kind of thing, it's usually 90 minutes because 30 minutes is a little bit of a short time to just accomplish some kind of brainstorm or some kind of specific purpose that they want that call for. So I don't usually do it, but I have the choice. I could say yes, and we can figure out something that works for that person and for myself. So the beauty of that is the choice. The other thing that you said that was like yes is the industry has a lot of variations in it, whatever industry that is for people, whether it's in the change maker work or if it's in an artistry kind of work that people do, whatever it is, service-based businesses, there is an average price point, and then there's higher and lowers of that. But the average, if we're going to just try to be in the status quo, then what sets us apart? Like I don't want to be an average delivery kind of service provider. I don't want to just be that. So I set my own prices based on what I value. And if I have a low value of myself, well, there's the inner work. There's the inner work that has to happen, because if I want to produce a greater revenue or more profitability or just more income, I have to do the inner work to feel like I am more worthy than the average price point. That's what sets people apart.
Hi loves, I wanted to let you know that I made a special free gift just for you. It's called the Cash Injection Ritual, and it's my 3-step method that you can use to create extra cash sales starting today. I used to suck at making consistent money, and I believed I would never be good at sales because I refused to do anything that feels out of integrity. Then I discovered the powerful mindset shifts I'm about to share with you, and I implemented this cash injection ritual to double my income 3 years in a row, making it to 6 figures in my dream coaching business. Now I'm so effing excited to share this work with you so you can start receiving the money you so deserve. So click the link in the description or go to withsarahmac.com and you can download the cash injection ritual from the freebies menu at the top of my page. Please remember to share your celebrations with me when the extra sales and cash starts to roll in. Before we get back to the episode, I have something exciting to tell you about. There were a couple of key things that changed everything in my life as an entrepreneur that allowed me to bring in 6 figures while working half as many hours and having more fun than ever before in my business. It was money mindset work around how I was doing business, combined with getting good at sharing strategic sales content online. I know you know that this is your year to start hitting your 10K month income goal and living the life of creative freedom and fulfillment you have been dreaming about. You're ready to be consistently attracting total dream soulmate clients through the creative content you're sharing on social media, and you want to be reaching more people, charging higher rates, and working much less. So I'm very excited to invite you to join me in Freedom Club, my mastermind, where you'll receive tailored high-level support to master the skills that will create your dream life and 6-figure dream business starting now. With focused weekly trainings and coaching calls to find the clarity on your content that's going to make you the most money, to design a simple, fun launch strategy you'll enjoy following through on, plus daily support and feedback from me in the Voxer chat, you'll find that sweet spot in your business where you're the most confident in your work, having the most fun, and making the most money. Go to withsarahmac.com/freedom club to apply now. Now let's get back to the episode. Yeah, and I've really seen this like for myself and for my clients, like this is really like a rite of passage, particularly for women in entrepreneurship, because we're so used to, like hearing no and people trying to like underpay us or not, or like refuse when we, or just thinking that what it is that we desire isn't possible because we haven't seen it, or because it's like outside of the average, or what we're used to seeing. And it's a challenge sometimes, and I had to go through that, where it's like you literally have to write down like all of the reasons why you're valuable, and actually be able to speak those, to name those, to identify those, to articulate those, because it is different. I'm sure anyone who is a coach or an online entrepreneur or a content creator or an artist, you're used to people being like, what do you do exactly? Like, I don't get it. Like, no one gets it, because they're emerging professions, and it's still an emerging industry, and it's a new thing for women to stake their claim and be very well paid for intellectual property, like over and above even just like labor or healing services and things like that. So acknowledging that it's a new idea for our culture, and that we're leaders in our own kind of like unique expression of our professions within whatever industry we're a part of. And so we have to go first. Like, we have to be able to articulate why I'm so freaking valuable when you are able to spend time with me and when you're able to work with me, and obviously to know and become very skilled and targeted at the way you're making an impact and the way that you're creating results for people, so you can sell yourself, because ultimately that's the skill that leads to opportunities. It's being able to communicate what's possible when people work with you. And, that really is like the gateway to those results of higher income. So obviously the ability to sell and to communicate, but underneath that is, doing all of that mindset work and unpacking all of those feelings that are cultural, that we've inherited from generations of women, to actually feel like it's possible to actually take the action to do those things. So I would love to hear for someone who's like resonating with this conversation. It's like, I definitely need to do this work. Like, where would you recommend they start?
Well, I do think that everything you said has so much validity to it. Like, there is a traditional business strategy and methodology to marketing and sales and building your business, but there is also the energetics, and the energetics is where I find the magic, I find the magnetism, I find the beauty, because that is what really allows people to be attracted into our world. I don't want to chase clients. I don't want to chase the person who I want to work with me. I want to just kind of show up and attract the people that want to be moved and activated. Like, there's a big difference as a coach to have a call with someone that you're like trying to be like pulling and getting all of the stuff out of them and like really like, come on. It's like a heaviness when you're like, come on. But the woman who is like ready and is self-led and is like, I don't know what to do, but I know that I want to do something. They don't need the answers. They just need to know that they're like ready. And when they're ready, there's what really exists is a desire. I desire something more, whether it's in relationships, whether it's in money, whether it's in personal health and wellness, whatever it is, they're desiring more joy, more freedom, more love, more ease and flow. And the money mindset is just one element of the makeover that happens when you're willing to do that internal work. And that's the kind of person I would love to work with. I feel like I don't want to just inspire my clients. I want to feel inspired by working with them. And so I forgot what your original question was, say it again.
Like, do you have like a tool or an exercise or something that, someone can kind of tangibly take from this conversation to start working with?
So I think that part of it is that like we all have an inner child. We all have that, like, I want it and I want it now, or she did that to me and I'm upset, or when someone does something to us and we're feeling triggered by it kind of essentially is that we're not in our magnetic personal power in that moment. And so when we create the bandwidth of our emotional intelligence and we're able to like say, you know what, I see you said that and it bothered me, but I can still stay in my power. That's when I can be in my most attractive energy. It's something that like when you own that magnetism, you can like turn it on, you can turn it off. It's not a sexual energy. It's a magnetic energy. And it's like an inner confidence. The other day I walked into into Whole Foods, and a woman, I literally knew I was doing this. When I got out of my car, I was like, I'm in a good mood. The sun is shining. I just went to the gym. I felt like really good. I walked into my car and I knew I walked with like, I wasn't trying to impress anyone, but I knew I was walking with that turned on magnetism. I just wanted it. And so I turned it on. And this woman happened to have seen me in my car, and she caught me in the produce aisle and she came up to me. She goes, I just want to say, I saw you walk in and you are so confident and so strong and you look so attractive in that energy. And I was like, holy shit. I literally at will, I turned it on. And that's something that we can learn because we have the choice to. We can learn to turn that on. When you walk into a room, it's like, who is that? And because I don't always want that energy, like if there's a bunch of men and I just don't really want to have that to me, or I want to just be a little more anonymous and not have it, I can actually kind of dim it and at will. And I think that is the most powerful thing that we, especially as women, I think can tap into, but men can do it too. I think when men have the ability to tap into the feminine energetics, they can tap into that because it's being like open and receptive. So it's tapping into that inner sense of who we are. And a lot of times we turn off that inner child, like that wants it and wants it right now. We suppress it, or we think like that's like the shadow work of us, but that shadow work is actually helping us to effortlessly manifest everything.
Yeah, I love that. And I think to break it down in terms of like, what are some ways that we can start to play with this kind of energetic experience to get more of like a tangible awareness of like how to turn it on and how to turn it off, and like our ability to choose to be in that is to just prioritize things that make us feel good. Like you said, you were at the gym, like it was a sunny day, focusing on the things that fill you with gratitude, that make you feel good. Like I always get my clients to do a dream life to-do list. Like if you had like $1 billion in the bank and you got to do whatever you wanted with your life, what are the things that you love? Like what are the things that you love most in life? and then to make that your life, you know, to prioritize those things. And very often, you know, it doesn't matter how much money I have in the bank. I always love to do yoga. Like I always love to spend time with friends. I always love to spend time in nature, cook delicious food, you know, sing and write, make videos, make music. And so having a practice for me of doing something creative for myself every day, whether it's just like improvising on guitar, whether it's doing some writing or some journaling and like sitting there in my favorite chair with a cup of tea, like when I pour into me, when I feel good, that's always when I open up to inspired ideas. That's always when I feel that motivation to like show up and share and to like give, because I've given to myself first. And so, you know, obviously it's going to look a little bit different for everyone, but I love that awareness that you've just brought to that, because it is such a subtle thing to kind of tune into. So yeah, I think that's a great invitation.
So I think that one of the most common things that people will bring, no matter what industry that they're in, is I don't have time, or I can't seem to find the time, or it's around time, and time is so subjective. The thing is that we forget to prioritize self-care, and we think that it has to be a lot of it in order for it to become potent for us. Like, I have to do an hour and a half yoga practice. I have to meditate for 45 minutes. I have to go to the gym for an hour and do an hour of cardio, blah, blah, blah. And we think it's like, has to be such a big chunk of time. But if you just took a few minutes in the morning, like before you started projecting your energies out there, where you're getting kind of like caught in emails or texts or people needing this from you or that, and you're grabbing onto all of these different external things, if you just took a couple of minutes, 5 minutes even, to just be in your own self-contemplation, like, and ask yourself, I used to have like a morning journal prompt, and it was called morning shakers. I forgot, whatever, morning paper, daily maker, something like that. It was a cute, like punny thing, but it was really like, what am I going to do today? What is one thing I could do today to make it a great day for me? Because things happen and you may get a flat tire, and stuff might kind of put an obstacle or a thorn in your day, but like, what can I actually do consciously to make this day a good day for myself? And you only need a few minutes of time to be able to create that self-care. And the more that you start feeling the results of great self-care, the more that you're going to easily give that time. And so that's where, like, I think that we really start to create a love for ourselves, and that the awareness is the biggest thing, like to make the changes, is self-aware.
Yeah, I agree. Like that awareness is so key. Like whenever I'm consistent, that's why I literally like have a habit tracker around this. And when I play guitar for 10 minutes a day consistently, like I make more money, I have more energy, like I have more fun, I'm way more productive. And it's like just 10 minutes. And it's so easy as soon as like, yeah, an emergency crops up, or like you go through some ill health, or you just get really busy. It's like, it's always that thing that seems to just like drop off the to-do list the most easily. And I'm like, no. You know, it's like mindset work. Oh, I don't have time to do any like mindset or journaling or visioning today. It's like, no, like those 5 minutes are like the most important that you can spend in your entire day. Like when things get busy, those are the things that it's even more important to become like unwaveringly non-negotiable with. So I think
I have two different strategies for all of the listeners. There's two different things that I think are really awesome exercises that you could do. One is called an energy audit. And the energy audit is taking a piece of paper, and I think better on paper, but taking like than in your head or on a computer, taking a piece of paper and literally making two columns. And on one side of the column, you put the energy surplus, and on the other, you put the energy depletion, or like, so essentially you write all the people, places, habits that are giving you energy, that fill your cup, that you feel lit up and excited about, that you know you're overflowing with, and you put that on one side. And on the other side, you put all the things and places and habits and environments that are depleting your energy. And then you start to really be able to see, okay, so you can't get rid of everything that's on your depleting list. I mean, like, you have to do certain things that are on that list, but how can you maybe make it less depleting? Like, how can you be able to like literally take the arrow and put it from depleting to energizing. So let's just say I have plans with a friend who constantly depletes me. She's like an energy zapper for me. But she's my friend. So how can I do it so that I don't spend 3 hours with her where I'm just like, oh my God? I can now take that thing that was on my depleting list and I can move it, because I could say, you know what? I'm going to go out, instead of invite her to my house, or instead of go to her house or create an indefinite amount of time, I'm going to say, let's go here for 1 hour. And this way I've kind of created a boundary around it. And I've taken the depletion and I've made it a little less depleting, so it can start going on my energetic list. So that's one thing. It's called the energy audit. And the second is the 10-10 list. And the 10-10 list is 10 things. You can list this as often as you want, a day or week or month. 10 things that you're grateful for and 10 things that you want. So you never forget your desires, but you always remember what you're grateful that you have, that you had, that you will have. And it creates a presence in remembering what makes you happy and what makes you feel filled. So you're still pursuing your desires and things that you want, but you're not like unhappy until you get there. You're remembering the 10-10 list because there's things that you currently have that make you happy.
I love these exercises so much. Thank you for sharing these. I'm definitely going to use these. So I could keep talking about all of this forever with you, but I'm going to wrap it up. So please tell us, for anyone who wants to know more about what you're up to, where can they find you, and what's going on with you at the moment?
So many great things happening on the horizon. One is I am developing a podcast, as you know, called the Wealthy Healer, and I'm super excited for that one happening. So look out for that. My website is KarenDubi.com, and that will list current programs, live programs, self-paced programs, and how to work with me. And also my book is on there. The name of my book I published last year is called The Art of Getting Out of Your Own Way. And that's there, and you could buy it there or on Amazon or different platforms, but it's all on my website, which is being redone, and I'm so excited.
Yes, so many exciting things. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you everyone for listening and watching. Please share this episode with anyone who you know will love it, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
For more inspirational content, head over to my website withsarahmac.com, and please support the show by liking, commenting, and subscribing.